Way, way up into the heavens above the world existed an enormous and beautiful castle that was called Astronomy Castle. Its foundation was a massive planet of snow-white clouds, and above the castle was an even more massive ocean of twinkling stars by the millions. Its beauty was equaled by only the mystical aura of serenity that exuded all around. The inhabitants of Astronomy Castle were two beings named Brighton and Twilia, who represented the planet's sun and moon respectively. The both of them were childlike in stature and in personality. Brighton had a big circle-shaped orange and yellow head with a ring of large points around it. It resembled the sun, and he wore a two-toned robe of bright red colors. His robe reached the top of his dark red shoes. His counterpart, Twilia, had a big yellow head in the shape of a crescent moon, and wore a full-length robe of two-toned blue colors in a checkered pattern. Unlike Brighton, Twilia also had a silver scepter atop with a large blue orb. Together, these two celestial beings watched over the peaceful mushroom world, observing all of the events that had taken place since their creation. On a balcony on the higher levels of the castle, Brighton was peering to his eye in the eye-hole of a huge telescope. He was spending his time scouring the cosmos, his favorite pastime. He saw many planets, stars, asteroids, and passing comets, all up close. Not even the strongest man-made telescope had nearly that much range. He then took a moment to adjust its settings, and that was when he caught a twinkle in the sky with his naked eye. "What is that?" he wondered aloud. The figure in the sky came closer and closer, really fast. As it did, its form became clearer, and Brighton saw it was a hooded figure riding on the back of a huge black bird. "Merlin?" said Brighton. The giant black bird appeared above Brighton's head, casting all of Astronomy Tower in its dark and shapely shadow. Then, right before Brighton's eyes, it shrank down to the size of a canary, and the hooded figure dropped down to Brighton. The now shrunken bird perched himself on the figure's head. The figure himself was dressed in a sky-blue hooded robe. His face, if he even had one, you couldn't really tell with the hood up, was completely black except for a pair of amber eyes and an extravagant, bushy, white mustache that nearly touched the floor. Finally, he wore red pointed shoes. He had in his arms two sleeping one-year-old baby boys wrapped in white blankets. They were wearing two red and green caps that were far too big for their heads, and were embroidered with the first letters of their names, M and L. Before Brighton and the person had a chance to exchange words, Twilight jutted out of the doorway and onto the balcony. "Brighton, I just saw a—" She stopped when she saw Brighton's company. "Hey, look, it's Merlin. And look, he brought babies. Why do you have babies?" "The prophecy," said Merlin, ominously enough to catch Brighton and Twilight's undivided attention. 2 years ago, it was written by the stars that the birth of two boys of red and green would bring the coming downfall of the Koopas. I believe these two are the ones the prophecy spoke of, Mario and Luigi." Brighton and Twilight glanced at each other with gleams of hope. The question on hand now was what was Merlin doing here with the two boys? Merlin was just getting to that. "I'm afraid it's not good. The Koopa King, Growler, learned of the coming twilight and launched an attack. I'm afraid both of their parents perished. I only managed to get in there to save these two." Brighton and Twilight's hearts sank upon hearing this tragic tale. To make matters even worse, the boys were now orphans, defenseless, and with targets on their backs. What was to become of them? I can't believe Growler's so vile," said Twilight. "What are we going to do? Growler won't stop until he's eliminated them, and it won't be long before he tracks you here," Brighton added. "I have a plan," said Merlin. "We'll hand them off to King Giles." "The King of the Mushroom Kingdom?" said Twilight. "Giles and I go back," said Merlin. "He's the only one I can think of that has the power to protect them. They'll be safe from Growler there." It was agreed that that was the best option they had right now. Brighton and Twilight decided to accompany him, and together they mounted Merlin's giant bird and soared down. End of Chapter 1. What you just heard was something I wrote for middle school way back when, and it is a 7 or 8 chapter story about Mario and Luigi. I got 106% on this project, and I am very proud of it. Actually, one of the few things in school that I have done that I was genuinely proud of and had fun writing, because I was such a big fan of Mario games at the time. I thought it'd be a good idea to write about it, especially since Paper Mario was just coming out, and I thought to celebrate the fact that there's a new Mario game coming out, I would write a story about none other than Mario. So, and now the rest of this super fast montage is just me talking about what I wrote. Tell me what you think, and, yeah, of what I wrote. So I wrote this, like, what, a couple years ago. And I just kind of sat down one night. I had to think of something, and I just thought of Mario instantly, and I started to type it, and yeah. So that's the end of this video. Now, goodbye.